customs and traditions that will definitely shock you. The first wedding night of the people of Africa. Greetings! Today we're going to talk about wedding traditions and customs of some African nations. And at the same time, we will analyse how the first wedding night of newlyweds. You will learn who is Somo and why she hides under the bed of the bride and groom. For what purpose African brides in the direct meaning of peeking under the skirt when they raise a leg up. And why in Tunisian settlements the groom is obliged to light a candle and put it on the windowsill. Be sure to watch the video to the very end so you don't miss all the important details. The third is not superfluous. We are accustomed to the fact that after the wedding is over, the young spouses seclude themselves and spend the night alone. But this is clearly not the case with some tribes of the African continent. It is believed that it is in this country that publicity is practically in the first place. Why does this happen? The answer is quite simple. According to the established tradition of Africa, the bride and groom are accompanied, so to speak, always and everywhere, because it is necessary to supervise the newlyweds and even share the advice and experience of adults. Well, let's consider it in more detail. Berbers. Berber tribes living on the territories of Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Morocco, and several other states have long practiced this tradition of publicity and openness. After the wedding is over, the newlyweds, along with the rest of the couple, go to one large bedroom. There, they are not alone at all. In addition to the bride and groom, other couples from young boys and girls to adults who have been living in love and harmony for several years are secluded in the room. And importantly, each of those present makes love only to his or her other half. Berbers believe that this way the newlyweds, who do not know each other, will not be confused at the most important moment. They are encouraged and also give useful advice. What to say, the newcomers do not even feel stress when they are in the right company. At least Africans are already accustomed to this tradition. Swahili. You will be surprised, but no less strange tradition regarding the presence of relatives in the bedroom of the bride and groom exists in the famous countries of Africa. These are Kenya, Tanzania, as well as Uganda. This is where the Swahili people live, who speak the language of the same name. Now get ready. We will analyze each of the presented examples separately. So, let's start with Kenya. After the wedding ceremony is over, the bride and groom head to the bedroom. This is where they will spend their wedding night, but again, they will clearly not be alone in the room. Under the bed of the spouses will be an experienced woman. As a rule, this Somo is one of the girl's older relatives. It is this woman who controls the entire night process that takes place between the couple. Among other things, the Somo is responsible for carrying out a specific custom. In the morning, she shows the sheet to all relatives and friends of the newlyweds. In Africans, this sign means that everything went well and there is no need to worry. Next in line is Tanzania. It is noteworthy that the bride and groom can see each other for the first time only at night. This is due to the fact that the marriage union of newlyweds is agreed upon by their parents. In essence, an absentee wedding. First, the groom together with relatives celebrates the wedding, but without the participation of the bride. The latter waits for the future spouse at home. And at the end of the day, the young man, accompanied by guests, is sent to the bedroom of the bride. So there is a live meeting of newlyweds. And although they can fully seclude themselves, excitement and awkwardness often occur. All because it's the first time the young people are seeing each other. Finally, we come to Uganda. This African country is home to the Banyankolo people, who are known for a frightening wedding custom. At least to the average person it would seem that way. The oddity is that the groom must first spend the night with his bride's aunt. What it all boils down to is that the experienced woman has to assess the young man's skills, as well as his quality. Then, the aunt tells her niece what to pay attention to and how to behave properly on the wedding night. It turns out that an adult woman in this respect is not only a counselor, but also a real teacher. Zambia. In Zambia, a young bride before her wedding night must consult with her relatives, and those in turn are obliged to conduct a kind of course, the essence of which is to acquire useful skills. As you can probably guess, these skills are related to the first wedding night. The girl listens attentively and memorizes everything necessary. And in the morning, the bride's relatives are interested in whether the advice and recommendations helped her or not. The girl is expected to describe everything in detail and not to miss key details. Libya. Libyans in matters of weddings certainly have a sense of humour. Imagine the following situation. A wedding ceremony takes place. Then the bride and groom spend 3 wedding nights in a row without direct contact. But when the 4th night comes, the following happens. Relatives and friends gather all together on the outside of the bedroom. After that, the guests begin to make noise, shouting, joking. The purpose of this behaviour is to encourage the newlyweds to finally get some privacy and spend the whole night together. Chastity is paramount. In some African countries, a special attitude to virgins has been formed. The main condition for such a wedding is the chastity of the bride. But how can Africans make sure that in front of them is really an innocent girl? For this purpose, there are several customs which we will talk about. Zulu tribe. Representatives of the Zulu tribe, which is located on the territory of South Africa, literally peek under the skirt of the bride. And although this action may seem indecent for normal society, for Africans it is nothing but a wedding custom. First, the newlyweds and their relatives and guests gather together. After that, the dancing begins. In the process of dancing, the girl is obliged to lift her leg high up. And then, one of the women, mostly the mother of the groom, must look under the clothes of her ward and make sure that innocence is preserved. Egypt. And here, in one of the most visited countries in Africa, there is a real sacrifice of innocence. The Egyptians turned out to be very prudent, and for the wedding ritual, the bride uses the services of a witch doctor. This woman is quite experienced. The deprivation of virginity takes place with the participation of a sorceress and a white cloth. The latter is wrapped around the woman's finger, and at the end of the process, there are visible traces. They are subsequently demonstrated to the groom as well as to all the gathered guests. From now on, this is an indisputable proof of the girl's chastity, a special sign. As is known, one of the proofs of this or that event is a material object left in a visible place. It acts as a distinctive sign. This is what African bridegrooms do. Tunisian settlements. In Tunisian settlements, the groom is responsible for carrying out one wedding tradition. After the first wedding night, the young man lights a candle and places it on the windowsill. Such a sign indicates that the night was successful and the bride turned out to be immaculate. Everyone in the neighbourhood learns about this event and then sincerely rejoice with the newlyweds.